Well, it's a tricky topic because you have to be very balanced. And what I don't like about most conspiracy theories is that they tend to pull people into an unbalanced state. Like I was talking about yesterday, there's some big evil out there that is threatening to destroy the world and something needs to be done about it now. Or nothing can be done about it. So it tends to pacify people or pull them into violence and aggression. And so that's the first thing, to avoid that. And I have published a book called Cosmology of Evil, which actually explains the emergence of evil, the origin of evil from a spiritual perspective, from the Ascended Master perspective. And that gives you a view of evil that is way beyond what you will find in any conspiracy theory out there. But it also gives you a balanced view because it also helps you see how we can actually do something about it in a peaceful way. Because the real key to removing evil is not to destroy evil, but to transcend the consciousness where evil can affect us. And I know you could say evil can affect us physically, like ISIS that goes in and attacks us. Yes, but if we really transcend the consciousness, evil cannot continue to affect us. It may test us. We may be tested, as I said. We may have to demonstrate several times that we really have become non-violent. But after a time, we will have transcended it. And if it happens on a big enough level, there will simply come a point, this is what the Ascended Masters teach also, there can come a point where we have raised the collective consciousness to a level where war will become impossible. It just simply will not happen anymore. Because the collective consciousness has shifted where we don't see it as a viable way to solve problems. And so in terms of the conspiracy theories, like I said earlier, many people, when they begin to awaken, they get pulled into these unbalanced reactions. And I think a lot of conspiracy theories, they just have that effect. If you start looking at it, there are so many claims being made, and you just get overwhelmed. What can you do about this? And I have known people who have been in a frantic state of mind for years, constantly agitated, constantly thinking, there's something out there that has to be changed, and they don't know what to do about it. And the thing to do about it is change your own consciousness, and then start gradually changing the collective as well. So personally, I don't recommend that people study conspiracy theories. I recommend they study the teachings of the Ascended Masters and understand the origin of evil and the role of consciousness. Because I honestly believe that a lot of the conspiracy theories out there are fake. They are just made up. And they're made up for a very simple reason. There is a power elite, and I have written on that in several books, there is a power elite on Earth that is seeking to control the population. They, of course, don't want you to know that they exist. They don't want you to know the methods they're using. So when the internet came out, they realized that they couldn't hold back some exposure of their existence and their methods. And so what they did was they hired some people to write fake conspiracy theories. And they only have one purpose, is to discredit all conspiracy theories. So that anytime there is a theory that the power elite doesn't like, they can label it as a conspiracy theory, and then it's automatically, by a lot of people, rejected as crazy. And some of them are crazy. Some of them are so out there that it's just, idiotic that people can actually believe this. And so that's why I say if you study the teachings of the Ascended Masters, you see what you can do spiritually to raise the consciousness. And when you raise the consciousness to a certain level, the power elite will lose their power over the population. This has already happened in history. It is not true that there is one coherent secret society that is seeking to control the world. There are several groups, because those who are in that state of mind will always be divided. If they could all come together, they might be able to control the world. But they can't, because they will always have a rivalry of who has the most power. And that's why you always see that there's at least two like communism and capitalism and this and that. There are always two that are locking horns, that are fighting. And so this is one thing to keep in mind. If it had been possible for a small elite to completely control the world, we would not have seen the emergence of democracy. We would not have seen the emergence of the printing press and of books, or the internet, or the kind of mass communication that makes it possible. We would have had the kind of societies we had in the Middle Ages, with the feudal societies, where the landlord owned the land and all the people who lived on it. We would never have gotten out of that kind of society. So by the very fact that you can go on the internet and find a conspiracy theory, it's already proven that there isn't one group that can control the world completely. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be able to think this way. You wouldn't know. And so that's why we have to realize that there is really no power that can completely control the earth. This is proven by history. And that's why we have to not be pulled into this blind alley of thinking we have to fight somebody, or that there is some conspiracy out there that's so powerful that we can't do anything about them. This is another purpose of the conspiracy theories, is to make you feel so disempowered and so overwhelmed that you just give up. What's the point in doing anything? And as a spiritual person, you realize that you can do something. You can raise your consciousness, you can make the calls, you can invoke spiritual light. It's kind of like what the Ascended Masters are telling us is that the earth can be compared to a dark room. And what we can do individually is we can open our minds so they become open doors to receive energy of a higher vibration from the spiritual realm. And it's like you have a light bulb where you can very gradually turn up the strength of the light. And as the light is increased, of course you can see more and more what's going on. And in the beginning this will seem disturbing, because ignorance it's not bliss, but it's at least an easier state of mind in the beginning. So you start to awaken, you start to see all of the things that are going on that are not right, and you become disturbed by this. What you have to realize is that it's actually a good sign. It's a sign that there's a change that is happening. And you just need to not be pulled into these unbalanced reactions. You need to focus on, again, going within, finding peace, opening your mind to bringing more light in. And by invoking the light, by being an open door for the light, you increase the visibility even more, and these forces can't hide anymore. Evil can only really exist if it's hidden, or at least camouflaged, so you don't see it for what it is. And the more you increase the light, the more you can see what's going on. But you also have to realize that there comes a point where you have increased the light a certain amount, and now you have a very deep contrast between areas where the light shines and the shadows. And all of a sudden, the shadows seem darker than they really are, because you have the contrast to the light. And this is what a lot of people get when they start to awaken and they start to look at what's going on in the world. They get so disturbed by this, because the shadows look darker than they are, because they're in contrast with the light. And you have to see beyond that and realize, no, they aren't as powerful as they seem. And it's just a matter of increasing the light so much that the shadows begin to disappear. And that's a process that's already going on. That's why you see these changes happening all the time.